Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie, and today we are doing my first Destash video of 2026. I'm sure many of you were following along with my Destash series last year, where every month I was basically going through in rainbow order my entire collection to figure out what polishes I'm gonna destash. And instead of going through rainbow order again, because I think it would be more of a hassle since I'm already keeping the majority of all the colors, I figured I could do a quarterly destash. So today's video is going to be going over all of the collections that have come out in January, February, and March. As you can see, this is already a really long video, so make sure you have a snack or something to drink, and let's just look at everything that's come out. Hey, we are back at my desk for my next destash video. And I guess first I'll insert a picture here of like all the polishes I took out from all the collections essentially that came out. Unfortunately, it just would be too much to fit on my desk, and I don't want to put them all on my desk just to like remove some of them. So I just wanted to show you the full spread, at least in a photo. I guess we can start with some of the Fauve ones. So maybe I'll do that. I'll like go through the smaller collections and whatnot first. So from Fauve, we got two releases so far. They're Love and Disdain trio, which also came, I mean, Jess sent them to me. They didn't like release for Valentine's Day, but they were like these two Black Friday mini polishes, which as you can see, I only have one. So I did already get rid of the other one. I included it in a destash order for someone, and this other one called Frosted Gingerbread. It is a magnetic, and you know, while it is cute and a nice shade, I can set this one aside too. It's not one that I'm really gonna wear super often. And from the actual trio here, I'm sure it might not be a surprise that my for sure keep is Candy Hearts, the topper. So I am gonna set aside the two thermals. They are really cool. I really love them, but I just know I'm not really gonna wear them often enough. So I just don't want them to die in my collection, you know? I'm gonna be smart about, you know, what is staying in my collection. And then from the Reflections of Monet collection, which just came out not that long ago, while these are all so striking, like the flakies are so intense, just beautiful polishes, I'm only going to be keeping two of them, and those two are Water Garden, which I shared recently on my spring favorites, and Pointillism, which is the glitter topper, or I guess just like the super dense glitter. These two I would say are my favorites, definitely the most unique to my collection. I also really did love this one called Blue Nympheus, but it is really similar to a glitch that I'll be showing soon, so you know, I don't want to dupe myself essentially. And then as far as the other ones, like again, they're pretty, you know, but I feel like I'm just not gonna wear them and I don't want to do that, right? I don't want them to just take up room. So yeah, from Fauve, the only ones I'm really keeping essentially are these three. Next, let's do Prism Parade, because they also had a recent collection and like generally on the smaller side. So from their two collections, the top one here is the Bloodlust collection, and then this one on the bottom is Sugar Rush, and this one is the most recent PPU shade. So you might notice there are some like missing polishes. There was a topper that came here called Say It Out Loud, but I did destash that one because it's basically a combination. Like I could recreate it with other toppers in my collection already, but it's a beautiful one, you know. It pains me because it's pretty and I love the reference, but I am trying my best to, you know, be better at not duping myself. And there was also a polish pickup shade that they sent along with this collection, but I can't find it. And I don't remember destashing it already, but it's possible that I did, or maybe I included it in like a giveaway or something, or it's in my giveaway pile because I still have a pile of those. So I'm not really sure. But anyway, from the Bloodlust collection, I freaking love these. This was like one of my favorite Valentine's Day collections this year because it's just so vampy, right? Just completely opposite vibes than what I normally go for. And I feel like we also haven't seen a vampire collection for Valentine's Day before. I might be wrong, but it was just so fresh and unique for me. So I really enjoyed this one. And while there definitely are some, you know, similar shades and stuff, especially with like these 4 shimmers here, especially like these 2 are very similar to each other, but then even the other ones, you know, kind of have similar vibes to like Mooncat polishes, ILNP shimmers. I still just really like them, so I want to hold on to them. If I was like being really, really picky, like I had to get rid of some of them, I think the 2 that I would get rid of are these 2 and then keep the 2 red shimmers, which are Turn Me and Vuesong, and keeping my favorite Fang Teas, which is the purple jelly flaky. It's just so stunning. But yeah, for now I am gonna keep all of them, unfortunately. And this flaky one that I have here is again the most recent polish pickup one called American Idiot, which is just so perfect. I'm not really a big Green Day fan necessarily. I mean, I used to listen to them like a lot, but I wouldn't say it's like my favorite band, you know, my favorite album or anything like that. But I do still really like this one, though. If I'm being like, you know, realistic, the only reason I really like it is because it is just like so perfect to capture the album cover. You know what I mean? Like they just nailed the inspiration. And I love when polishes do that. It's just so satisfying when you can like see the reference. It's just like so perfect. So I do like that. But I think, yeah, realistically, I don't know if I'm going to wear it again. So I will be strong and set this one aside. And then from the Sugar Rush collection, I mean, this is also really hard because these are the most recent ones, right? I feel like I'm going to struggle with the more recent collections because I just haven't had them for a long time, but I want to keep them. Like, realistically, the ones that I shouldn't keep that are probably going to make it into my destash pile first are the yellow and the green because I just didn't love those formulas. The main reason I want to keep them as a whole is like to do nail art, you know, doing some like rainbow, like I'm envisioning doing like a little sponged gradient with these, and it's just such a perfect lineup, you know. So maybe I will squeeze in like one good rainbow mani with these, or maybe like a couple, because they are just really beautiful colors. Like I love the neon vibrancy of them. Again, I love the formulas of like these specifically, but I don't also want to just like keep them and then they're gonna eventually fade the way that other neons do. So yeah, I might end up destashing more of them later on though, but for right now I am going to keep all of them. Okay, so I have a couple of collections here, right? But we'll still go through them one at a time. The smallest release I think that came out so far this year is Mooncat's Band of Misfits 2 set, which had these 2 like metallic kind of polishes, the thermal shimmer, and then the topper. And from these 4, I know my top 2 favorites are Atomica and the Sugar and Spice topper. So I think these, it's safe to say I will put these in the destash pile because, again, this one being a thermal, it's just, I don't want it to die in my collection. And this one I'm just not super crazy about. It's called Nightbreak, the lavender metallic. Like in theory, I like it, but it's just realistically not one that I would wear super often, you know? And I think Atomica is just a lot more unique to my collection, especially like this shade of green. It's just really interesting. And like I said, topper, easy favorite. So we're keeping those. And from the Olive Ave collection that launched most recently, I think the only one that I'm really going to set aside, which probably is not a surprise, is Tend, this super light green, because it just doesn't look as green as I want it to. And for my creams, you know, I just prefer them to be opaque, right? So definitely don't have that issue with the other 4 colors, and I just really you know, they're solid shades. I mean, these three I already had in my collection before. So I guess realistically between, you know, the two new ones, even though Tend does look cute, especially here, I feel like it has that soft green color. But yeah, on the nails, it's just a little too light, but I do really love Veil. So I am gonna hold on to these four and set Tend aside. And lastly, from the bottom here, we have the Goodnight Polish Love is a Battlefield collection, which had these mixed finishes. So we have like a matte flaky topper, a shimmer, a magnetic, which hopefully you can see that there. And then this one is also a thermal. And I know I've been setting aside my thermal so far, but this is like the one thermal I want to keep. I just love this color so much. It's so pretty. I love the transition colors. I was honestly super close to adding this to my spring favorites wheel. Like, it's just so pretty. So I am gonna try to like still use it, you know, this coming like spring season and whatnot. But yeah, as far as these other shades, and even, sorry, I forgot about this, the matte top coat, while these are amazing, like objectively speaking, great, fantastic formulas, they are also just either similar to polishes that I have or not entirely my taste. That one obviously being most true about Love's Expensive, Poison's Cheap. It is like a nice, you know, kind of polish, but I just know this isn't one that I would wear super often. So I knew right away that this was gonna end up in my Destash pile, unfortunately. But I did really love these two. Like I mentioned in my video though, this one is pretty much an exact dupe for Holo Taco's Love Spell, the like first magnetic that they came out with. And I still have that one in my collection. So, you know, I can set that aside. I already have a couple of other matte top coats. So yeah, from those couple of collections, these are the ones that I'm keeping. Next, we can go through Sylvanclaw's collection. I think this is called like the Succulent collection or Succulent Garden, but we had a couple of thermals and then some glittery, flaky, shimmer kind of polishes and one topper. From the thermals, I obviously am going to be keeping Koi Pond, the blue in the middle, because it is my favorite one. Gorgeous transition colors. I love the flakies in here. It kind of has a similar-ish, you know, finish, right, to String of Hearts, which is just the more peachy jelly, but I thought that this was like a little too soft of a transition. Even if it did have like a more contrasty transition, I would still set it aside just because it's another thermal. I'm not trying to keep too many of them. And so then that leaves me with Variegation, which I think is so, I love the shade of green. Like this is the cold state, and then in the warm state it kind of has like a more chartreusey, you know, color. I would love to keep this because it's definitely a unique thermal to my collection. I love how bright and vibrant it is, but I worry that I won't end up wearing it and that it'll eventually die in my collection, you know? So I think, you know, keeping the one at least from this spring lineup, because the only other thermal that I still have is Wilted Rose from their fall collection. So I'm just trying to be really picky with like, you know, the ones that I keep, right? So from the other ones, I know for the topper, it's such a fun polish for sure. It has these like really long bar glitters, which, you know, I normally don't like, but because it's called Hollow Rain, I feel like it's very fitting. But that being said, it's not one that I really would wear, so I know I can set this aside. From these four, I think my top favorites are definitely Toxic Barb, which is the sort of like purple jelly with a strong blue shimmer, a red hollow, so stunning, and Ground Cover, which is really sheer, but I love how it builds up in this like super light limey green kind of color. Like this is, I'm pretty sure I said this in my review video, but this is what I wanted Mooncat's Banquet of Breadcrumbs to look like, because that one was like a little too chartreuse, you know, just a little too yellow. So I like that this is a bit more green. It also has slightly larger flakes. It's just, it looks so pretty. So I really, really like those. But then these two, I know that In Bloom was a dupe, I think, for, was it Holo Taco's Naughty List? Or maybe there's like a red glitter from Fauve. There's like a few that are just, you know, these like red glitter formulas. So I don't need to keep another one. And this one, Pebble Path, again, super pretty formula, but it being this, you know, purple shimmer in a gray base. It's kind of like Artemis's Death Kiss, which I'm pretty sure I had compared in my video, and I'm not planning on getting rid of that. So, you know, this one unfortunately will have to go, but definitely a very pretty shade. So from my Sylvanclaw, I am only keeping these three. Next, we can do ILNP. So they came out with 3 collections so far. And the first one of the year was their Flower Shop collection for Valentine's Day. Really cute lineup of these 2 greens, these 2 pinks. Definitely very simple vibes, right? Like it's, you know, kind of giving Holo Taco's cottagecore. And I destashed both of those pinks because I thought they were a little too muted for what I liked. So I do like these shades more. And even though I did love the greens from Holo Taco's cottagecore, I do also still like these greens too. Although I would say, if anything, this is the one that I'm more like, you know, iffy on. It's called Just Because. And I think I feel this way because it's not really like a true green. It's a little bit teal. And I know when I shared like my swatches and everything, even sharing it on Reddit, so many people were like, wow, like that teal is so gorgeous. Like everybody was loving this one. And I'm like, this is like the least exciting to me. Or maybe not exciting, but just, it's just not my color, you know? So while it is striking on a lot of other people, I don't love this one so much. But I was also thinking about how I know, and it's not like an exact dupe or anything, but Crack's Teal Dark and Handsome, because you know how I say like, oh, with my Cracked bottles, like they're so big, they take up, you know, so much room in my drawers. And so I'm like, okay, should I, you know, swap it for something smaller, right? So this is like a case where I would want to keep the ILNP and then destash the Cracked, because again, when it comes to these like darker teal colors, even though they're not dupes, right, I feel like I just don't wear them often enough. So keeping just the ILNP and getting rid of the Cracked, it just works for me and my collection, if that makes sense. So I think I'm gonna do that. Because yeah, I don't really need 2 dark teals like this. So even though from this initial 4, this was like on the chopping block, it's safe because I'm gonna choose to destash something else instead. Then from the Brunch collection, you know, we had some more creams. These were cute. Like I like the idea, right? You know, the concept in theory. Love it. The actual polishes, I'm like, you know, some of them, they're like too muted for what I wanted, but I am going to be keeping these for a little bit longer to do some comparisons for something else that's coming out soon that I obviously can't talk about or share. But initially, I am pretty sure I had set aside, or like, you know, mentally, right, like short stack and pistachio, because pistachio I'm pretty sure was like a very close dupe to Olive Ave Scape, which I already have. So I was like, okay, I guess like these 2 are my least favorite and I can stay with these 2, but I'm still not super crazy about them because when I did, you know, the comparisons, this purple is a lot more muted, you know, than like other springy purples that I like. And even for patisserie, it's just, I don't know, there's something about the color that leans like a little too warm. So I could see this just being a collection that like I fully destash in the future, but for now, I will be keeping it. And lastly, we had the Playground collection. Oops, sorry, I'm like knocking into my camera. But you might notice that I'm missing I'm missing the light blue speckled that came in here, called Scribbles. I don't know where it is. It's not, obviously wasn't with, you know, the rest of these shades or in another drawer. And I'm like 99% sure I didn't destash it. So I've misplaced it. But at least from, you know, what we have here, I know for sure I do want to keep the yellow called Peekaboo, because I so far have really liked this one compared to some of their previous like specialty finish yellows. I also really want to keep Caterpillar, the dark green, because I love this formula. It's a beautiful shade of green. I know for sure I am going to destash Recess because I just don't really like this finish from ILNP. I know that's, or I can't say that like as a blanket statement, but this finish is very hit or miss for me. It's similar to, you know, their fall collection after the rain last year. Love that collection. Overcast, also another banger. But they also had that one New Year's Eve collection. I think, what was it called? Not, it was like closing night or something, like something along those lines. But that collection didn't really care for. And they also came out with Bitten one Halloween that had the same kind of finish, and it just, you know, didn't really excite me. So this is unfortunately another one that I just don't really care for too much. So I know I'm gonna set this one aside, and that leaves us with these two. So we have the magnetic called Adrian and the other speckled with like the little rainbow colored blocks. This is so cute. Like, it's just so cute. I know so many people were also very confused, like why go with this like cream colored base with the rainbows? Like why not do a white base or something? And I'm like, really? Like it just seems so on point with like what I think of those little colorful, you know, wooden building blocks. So I don't know, like the colors make sense to me and I really love it for that reason. But realistically, I probably am not really gonna reach for this. I already have their rainbow like confetti topper that I can just use over, you know, other shades. So yeah, even though this is super, super cute, I think I can also set this one aside. And with Adrian, it is a beautiful shade of blue, right? But I already have so many other blue magnetics. I feel like I should set this aside. I mean, I'm gonna keep it for now, just for like future comparisons. But yeah, when it comes to like other blue magnetics, there are a few others that I would just kind of reach for first. So I'll keep it for now. So yeah, these are the ILNPs, although technically these are like my maybe piles, but these are like my for sure keeps. Next up, we have Apocalypse's Fallout collection called Glitter. Glitter Never Changes. And I'm pretty sure this is all of them. There might be one or potentially two missing. So that goes to show that, you know, they did not make it in my collection or whatever. Or maybe I just misplaced them. I don't know, because I've had polish everywhere. It's been so overwhelming, but I'll talk more about that later. So yeah, as far as this collection goes, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Fallout, so I don't have that initial like connection to these the way that I did with like The Last of Us, for example. But that's not to say there are not some pretty polishes in here, because there definitely are. I would say my top favorites, my top two, I know, are these two. The green is called Radioactive. Oh my god, so pretty. And then this one called Quantum Cooler. It's just so glowy. So I just know I'm gonna share this in my winter favorites in like 7 months from now, right? But it's just so pretty. So these are for sure keeps. And I do also really like these three here. We have this like darker kind of jelly with shimmer and all that called Sidetracked by Bullshit. It's just such a cool shade. I loved how this built up. So pretty. Then this blue one is called Fallout, which is, you know, kind of just like a shimmer, right, with like a hollow flaky in there, but it's just so pretty, right? Like, you have eyes, you can see this. It is such a stunning glowy polish. I know this finish is definitely, you know, we've seen it before, but this like color combination I feel like is pretty unique to my collection. And another unique one is the House Always Wins, which is kind of like the sister polish to, I think they said Catching Fireflies, where that one had like a red shimmer instead of the purple. Some of the flakies were different, but I really, really like this one a bit more than Catching Fireflies because I think that one I either destashed or it's in my giveaway pile. So I know I like this one more, so I do want to keep that. But for these four, these are the ones that I'm like, you know, just not for me. We have Love is a Wasteland, which is just kind of a dark, sort of hot pink magenta. I would say more magenta. It's not super, super pink. Sort of glitter, you know, but I already have Holo Tacos, Bless Your Heart. Then this one is Okie Dokie, which I just don't, like, I love the base color, but the actual like gold glitters in here, because it's like so jelly, it's just not my favorite. If this applied on the nail, I would maybe consider keeping it, but it is also just like that dark tealy colored, you know, that I just don't wear super, super often. But it is really pretty in the bottle. I have Glitter, Glitter Never Changes, which is the gold glitter. And this one is just like a little too strong of a yellow for me. You know what I mean? It's just like, it just reminds me of like certain gold jewelry that like I just don't love, but I love the finish. It's just so sparkly and pretty, but not for me. And then the last one is Feeling a Little Ghoulish, which is kind of this like pink pearly shimmer, but I have a few pink pearls from Cracked, so you know, even though it's not like an exact dupe necessarily, it's just close enough. So I'll set these four aside and then just keep these five. Okay, next we can go through the new Holo Tacos that have come out, although as of recording, technically, well, actually no, because April's like the start of the new quarter. I know there's like that what was it, Hope Garbage, right, collection. I unfortunately didn't receive it in PR. I mean, last year they sent Born Ugly with the April collection, so I got it like, you know, way past like the launch date and stuff. So I'm assuming that's the case this time around. And while I appreciate them, you know, only shipping something like once, it is also kind of like, can't they just ship the April collection a lot earlier? You know, so that way I can share the April Fool's launch. But I guess because it's limited edition, they don't really care about it. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, as far as the collections that have come out, we have the Valentine's Day collection and then their most recent Jelly Sandwich collection. From the Valentine's Day, I'm missing Lust in Translation. This is another one that I don't remember destashing, but I also can't find it, so I misplaced it. That one was kind of on the chopping block anyway, so maybe it did end up in my destash pile and I just, you know, already don't remember. I know for sure though, we're keeping Sweetheart Taco and Pretty Privilege. These are my top two favorites from this release. Just so cute, so pretty. Also definitely keeping Flirt Alert, which is the hot pink magnetic. I know Cirque has like a couple, but I don't have any of them in my collection, so we're keeping that. Then from these two, we have Polar Opposites and Playing the Field. And I remember not being like super in love with Polar Opposites because, again, similar to Lust in Translation, I feel like it was just a little darker than what I would have wanted. And with Playing the Field, I am going to keep this one, even though it is a dupe for one of the ILNP shades. Forgetting the name of it right now, but I kind of like the finish of the shimmer. I feel like it just, I don't know, it looked a little bit more like glowy or just more saturated in a way, but maybe because it's like a more opaque base, while the ILNP is like a little more jelly, you know? So yeah, I think from these, I am just gonna set aside Polar Opposites because I would just rather keep Starly's, what is it called? Is it Polar Light Show? The light blue, right, with like a green background shimmer. I would just rather keep that one. And then from the Jelly Sandwich collection, this one is also tough because they are still very new. I still would want to keep some for some comparisons, but realistically, I think I would put these two in my Destash pile, which I'm sure are not surprising at all. We have Meltdown and Sky High, just because they were just the most like sheer, which, you know, I know like jellies are supposed to be sheer, but I know you guys, the majority of you know what I mean by that. It's just so frustrating, to say the least, when, you know, there are some Holo Taco like stands who are just like, I don't get what the criticism is, like jellies are supposed to be sheer, and it's like, okay, but you can't tell me that these are the same pigmentation as these. Like, I want jellies to look like this, not like this. This is LA Colors, but for 10 times the price. Like, what? That just does not make sense to me. So anyway, sorry for that little rant, but yeah, these are the two that are the most like, you know, we'll destash them eventually, but I am going to keep them for some future comparisons. Maybe I would also destash the purple because I already have a few from Cirque and I just kind of like those a little bit more. So yeah, I know for sure I would keep the pink and the orange. And from the toppers, as much as I love like the idea of picnic party taco, because it's just so cute, like the colors are very cute, but this is another one that's like on the chopping block for me, especially because it's pretty similar to, I know already like, you know, compared it, but to the Northern nail polish. But I just like, I don't know, I just like this a little bit more, you know? And then with the butterfly topper, even though, you know, the Fauve one is like my favorite, this one is still cute because they are smaller glitters. If anything, that's kind of like Holo Taco saving grace for me for their glitter toppers, is that they are slightly smaller than, you know, others that I have. So part of me does want to still keep it for that, but I think for now I will just set aside the picnic party one. But again, I'm pretty sure these three will be joining that. It just might be a couple of months from now after doing a lot more jelly comparisons. But these are the ones that I know for sure I want to keep. Next, we can do Cracked because there are a lot of them. Cracked is now one of the only couple of brands, I think next to Holo Taco, at least, you know, that I share on my channel, that releases like every single month. And they have some pretty big collections, as you can see. So starting from the top row, we have like the, well, these are like, you know, bonus kind of shades technically, but we had the last minute gifts collection, which I am missing one. I'm missing Drugstore Chocolate, which was the red magnetic, but I can't find it. And again, I'm pretty sure I didn't destash that one already because, you know, I kind of already did like my rainbow order, so I'm not sure where the hell it went. But I wasn't super keen on like keeping it anyway because I don't know, it was like too similar to Holo Taco Sacrificial Lacquer, which I also had already destashed. It's just like that shade of red that, you know, it's like, it's nice, just like not my favorite, and I don't want to have like a ton of red magnetics. But from the rest of the collection, which, you know, is like only a quad, right, I do want to keep all of these because I really like them. I think they're so pretty. I know, if anything, the one I probably shouldn't keep is Heart-Shaped Necklace because it is kind of like, you know, the most similar to Feed Me Treats, which isn't around anymore. This is like slightly more pearlescent. Ugh, I should just set it aside because I already have Feed Me Treats, and Cracked again is like suffering from success. You know, my steak is too juicy, my lobster is too buttery, the bottles are just too big, and with how much they release, I just cannot keep them all. So I am gonna set this one aside, but I love that one. It pains me. But at least the ones that, you know, I can for sure keep because they are more unique to my collection are No Reservations, which is the magnetic, super, super gorgeous, and Street Corner Bouquet, which is technically like a topper, but I feel like it's so densely packed that you can also, you know, build it up on its own. I just love the colors, like the pink and the yellow. I feel like on camera it's not really picking up as well, but it's super pretty. Then from the like bonus shades, we had the jelly of the month, which is taro milk tea, and then Worthy of Love, which is just a reddish brown cream. I know I literally just shared taro milk tea for my April picks video, but it was for that specific video. I think realistically, this is just like too dark of a purple. I think again on camera, it doesn't look as dark as how I see it in real life, but there are just other purple jellies. Like this kind of reminds me of Cirque's Haze jelly, for example, which is one of the few Cirque jellies I've destashed because it's just like, you know, it doesn't really excite me as much, right? So I am gonna set this one aside. I do want to keep Worthy of Love though. I decided to keep this one and then take out Buttoned Brown from my collection because I was like, you know, I know they're not dupes, but I feel like they're similar enough, being those like weird shades of like red and brown, and I just like this one a little bit more. So I'm gonna keep that one. And then the rest of the bonus kind of shades that had come out, or maybe not bonus shades because some of them were for like the Facebook group or, you know, things like that. But we have Pinching Bronze Pennies, which I also shared in my April picks video. Super gorgeous, like coppery brown. When this first came out, I initially was like, you know, because I had destashed the original one. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it's like nice that it came back, but I'm also not super, super crazy about it. But then wearing it again, I was like, this is a really gorgeous shade. So I feel like I am gonna like it come fall, but I probably should, like, you know, double check again right in the future how it compares to like some other dark metallic browns that I have, because I know I have a few from like Mooncat, for example. So, but they're like a little, I feel like those are different, but for now, I'll keep it. Then we have two magnetics. We have Dumpster Fire and Iced Toad. And I really do like both of these. I think they're so cool. Love the vibes of Dumpster Fire because it's just so fitting. But like, you know, a gorgeous magnetic. And with Ice Toad, I love the color of this one. Like a darker sibling polish to Holo Taco's Menchie Cat Eye, which I also really love, so it makes sense why I love that one. But I'm like, should I realistically keep both? And the answer is probably not. You know, like they're gorgeous shades, but I think they're just other magnetics, like other similar, you know, colors that I would reach for more before reaching for these, but I do still think they're gorgeous. Okay, wait, I realized that I put the most recent collection in the middle, so let's like ignore that for a second. The collection that came out after the Valentine's Day one was for like Monique's birthday, the Maxin and Relaxin collection. So those were these 6, and then we have like some extra polishes. I guess technically I should keep this one up here. So from this collection, I knew that there were a few that were going to make it to my destash pile. The first 2 I would say are Undisturbed and Silk Pillowcase, just because they're not really, you know, shades for me. Silk Pillowcase is just like more of a dupe, if anything, being like a silver metallic. So yeah, I just, you know, don't want to dupe myself. And then again with this one, it's just like an okay shimmer for me personally, so I'd rather not keep it. I think also I can set aside Chasing Calm because I have Cirque's Dove Jelly, you know. I don't need another light gray jelly, but it is a very pretty color for sure. So then that leaves us with these 3. We have Sheer Serenity, Hush Hush, which is a magnetic, and Peace Within Me, which is just like another kind of shimmer metallic sort of polish. It's very like such a finely milled shimmer. It's almost like satin. I really love the color of this one. It's so pretty. I feel like it's just so it's just so nice and moody. So I wanna keep it for that, though I should double check my comparisons because I feel like this was kind of similar maybe to like a Mooncat, or not like super, because I know their shimmer polishes are more, you know, speckly, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just want to double check because like while I love it too in the bottle, I feel like again realistically this isn't one that I would actually wear super often. Ugh, I hate that because it's just so freaking pretty. Like I really like this one, you know, compared to the others that I'm like like I don't care for as much. So it pains me because it's a gorgeous color. But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't think I would actually wear it super often. So leaving the two lightest colors, which I guess shouldn't be shocking, I do want to keep them, although now that I'm looking at it again, I'm wondering if I should keep Sheer Serenity because at least like from what I remember, I had compared it to Mooncat's The Stolen Kiss, right? But this is like a little deeper, you know, like mauve-y in its base. So it's not an exact dupe by any means, but I really like that Mooncat. So, you know, because this bottle is so big, I feel like I should set it aside. So then that just leaves us with the magnetic Hush Hush. And I know there were a few, like I ended up sharing some comparisons in my post tab afterwards, like to ILNP shades, and I'm pretty sure this is like nearly the exact same color of Reindeer Crossing, or maybe it was Teddy. It was like one of those ILNP browns, but it's just so similar to that. But I really love how this looks like on the nails. Like I think this is one I would want to keep. I feel like Bee's Knees also probably has something similar to this because they do a lot of their fine particle magnetics and have a few in this like mauve-y neutral kind of color. And I know I did say too, speaking of the color, that I wish this wasn't like as dark, but I think wearing this in one coat, like in the velvet effect, or just like over a pink so it's, you know, a little bit more soft or something, I think that would end up looking really nice. So I want to try that before getting rid of it. So I'll keep that, I'll put that up here. Then the other polishes that I got alongside that collection, we had the Jelly of the Month, which is technically a Crelly called Out of the Blue. Keeping this, I love that color. We also got Freezy, which is like a sibling or like a 2.0 version of Refraction, which was a polished pickup shade. And I already have Refraction. And while this is pretty, you know, it is a little bit different. It has like a slightly larger shimmer particle, almost looking like a micro flake. It is very pretty, but I just don't need it. You know, I have a lot of milky white shimmers and flakies and whatnot. And I feel like I also vaguely remember not loving the formula on that one. It just didn't self-level as nicely. So I'm gonna go with that and just, you know, set it aside. But then I also, Monique also sent me their HHC, or no, PPU, sorry, their PPU shade called Just a Finch. And this one I'm keeping. Oh my God, I love the color of this one. So stunning. So we're keeping those. And then finally from the most recent Music is Life collection. Also, this is like an HHC one, but I'll get to that. From this collection, this one unfortunately was another one where I'm like, okay, I like the finishes of, you know, the majority of these, but then some are either really similar, like they're dupes, or close enough to other shades that I have, specifically shades like On Repeat, where this is very close to ILNP's Countryside. I think I almost like the color of this more because it is more green while Countryside is a little bit more brown, but I just don't have the room for both. So I am gonna set this one aside, but if anything, I could see myself regretting that like in the future, in the fall, but I'm just gonna like use Countryside and tell myself like, okay, I still really like that one. But if like, okay, eventually, hypothetically, one day this actually happens that I run out of my bottle of Countryside, I loved it and used it all up, I would rebuy this one. You know what I mean? So hopefully it'll be around by then. And then another dupe is I Burned You CD, which was really close to Mooncat's Whiskey Sunrise. I think somebody also had requested to see this next to I'm Rover It from Holo Taco, which obviously that has like little hollow flakes, but it's like so similar otherwise. And I thought that was so funny because I'm Rover It was like one of my top favorite polishes, and I just didn't see it when I like, you know, first looked at this, but it's like really, really close. So also gonna set that one aside. As far as shades that I'm like, you know, not really loving, I would say Orchestra Pit, unfortunately, was my least favorite. It, again, is just kind of that shade of gold that I just don't love, you know, like for reference, next to the Apocalypse Gold Glitter. This one's like even more pale, like antique-y leaning. Just not my favorite, but you know, how nice that these three are just like so perfect for fall, but just not for me. And I know these three too are also like, you know, like they're nice, but then I don't love them. So we have Start to Finish, which like, you know, I think this one may be like, I would say these two, okay, this one is my least favorite of the three. It's called Headphones On. It's a mauve brown magnetic or base with a gold magnetic. It's nice, just not my favorite. So for these two, I do like them a bit more, but then again, they're just kind of similar to like other shades that I like even more than these, you know? So yeah, I'm just gonna set them aside, because if I can like look at them and they don't immediately spark joy or whatever, then it's like, yeah, why keep them, right? So that leaves these four. So I think these two are from the actual collection. We have Spinning Vinyls, which is the magnetic, and then the other jelly micro glitter, but it's like the teal color. And I know I was just saying I don't really wear these like dark teals super often, but this one is so freaking pretty. So I am gonna keep that. I know for sure we're keeping Grenadine, at least for now. I really do like it as a red jelly, but I feel like, you know, I'm also getting a couple of other red jellies that I need to do some comparisons for. So we will double check, but I want to keep it for now. And Beginner's Luck, which is the green teal version of Scorchy, essentially. So striking. I want to keep this. It makes me nervous because my toppers drawer is already running out of room again, but I really love that one. And lastly, we have the upcoming, or like this month's HHC polish. This was like the Pride one specifically, called It's Electric. I should be sharing it in a little short video sometime before or after this video, I don't really know, but it is a really pretty color that I want to keep for now. I know I shouldn't be doing that probably, right? Realistically, I probably should destash it because I don't know if like I would actually go back and wear it again. Man, so should I? Should I just set it aside now? Because part of me is like, okay, well maybe I can keep it, you know, for now, for like comparisons or something. I don't know. It's just so pretty. It's pretty, but there are other shimmery, like coral or orange shades that I would reach for first, I think. So you know what, fine. Twist my arm, why don't you? I'll just destash that. So of all of the cracked that I have, or that I had, these are the handful that I will be keeping. And the last brand that I have here is Glitch. And as you can see, they have a lot of polishes and collections too. I guess they're another brand like similar to Cracked that has been doing monthly releases. So it is a lot. And unfortunately, they are all so pretty. There's really only like a handful that I'm like, you know, not for me. So starting with the first collection, the Palestine collection, These are all charity polishes. Several of them are magnetics, like this last, half of the collection. And while some of them are really gorgeous, some of them are also very, very sheer, which for magnetics, I don't love as much. So I would say like my least favorite magnetics, specifically for the finish, are Liberation and Habibi, which is such a shame, especially for Liberation here, because it looks kind of similar to Mooncat's Clair de Lune, especially being like, a fine particle kind of magnetic too, but it's just so jelly. And I'm pretty sure I said that I had like an ILNP that was, basically like this, but just a lot more opaque. I mean, if anything, Habibi would make a better topper, over darker colors. So if that's what you're into, similar to Crack's Scorchy, Beginner's Luck, but this is like the purple version. So when I think of it that way, it is kind of tempting. And, for reference, if Cracked had come out with a topper like this, this color, then I would keep this one just because it is a smaller bottle, or like a thinner bottle, right? We'll set these aside because Crack doesn't have a purple magnetic. Then the other ones, I mean, these two, I know I really like the River, but then this is also kind of similar. Oh, actually, I don't know if I had compared this to Spinning Vinyl, but these are like super similar colors. Though again, the River is a lot more jelly, but you can see the magnetic shimmer is really similar, being that like purpley, even in extreme angles, they kind of look the same. So, okay, I know, hear me out, okay? I know I literally just said that, between Cracked and Glitch, I would keep Glitch because it's a smaller one, but formula-wise, I know I would prefer Spinning Vinyls to the River. So that's what we're gonna do. And the other magnetic that I had here was Copper Bracelet, which is so cool. It's like such a unique polish, and like I love the inspiration for it of like a copper bracelet like tarnishing, and it just looks like this, but realistically this is not a color that I would really wear super often, even in the fall. Like I could see myself, appreciating it, right? Because it is, again, beautiful, it's unique, but as far as actually putting it on my nails, I don't think that I would do that. And the last magnetic that we have here is I'm Still Alive, which is another purple base, but with blue flakes in the background, a silver magnetic. This one is also so pretty. And again, I also feel so bad because this is like a charity collection. So part of me feels guilty for wanting to like, pass these along and like not keeping them. But I'm just trying to be like rational, right, with like my space, because I am only limited to my 4 Helmers, and I can't keep everything, right? So the only other similar-ish purple with a blue background silver magnetic was Starly's, and I really like that one, even though this is a smaller. Okay, well, I don't know where my Starly is, and I'm pretty sure I did not remove it from my collection, so I'm gonna have to double check that. So you know what, for now I will keep it because I would hate to destash both of them by accident. But anyway, as far as the rest of the collection goes, I know my top favorites, I think I'm like torn between 2 and 3. I really love these 3. I know Keys to the Kingdom is probably my favorite from the lineup. Just a gorgeous linear holo with a shimmer, super pretty color. So I am going to keep that one for now too. And then these 2 tealy kind of shades, right? We have like the shimmery glitter on the left called Garden on the Beach, and then Mito on the right, which is the rainbow flaky bomb. This is the one that I had mentioned before, like the Fauve is, kind of the closest to it. There's definitely more rainbow flakies going on in here. overall, but again, it's kind of just coming down to the size, honestly. But they are similar enough to me as somebody who doesn't wears a lot of these darker teals. I'm sure, you know, a dark teal or just a teal lover in general would be like, oh yeah, I could easily justify both because, you know, this has more reflective glitter and hollow, and it's like a different, you know, they look different, right? They're not exact dupes, but for me, I'm like, it's close enough. And then for Garden on the Beach, oh, this one is so stunning. I feel like this is just a much more intense version of Mooncat's Am I Everything You Fear. That one almost has like a soft shimmery look to it. This is more of that like glittery finish, you know? Does that mean I'm gonna get rid of the Mooncat? I probably should, but I'm not going to right now. And so that leaves us with Palestinian Poppy and Resistance from this collection. I initially did like Resistance, but I feel like it's not my favorite shade on me. Like if anything, it's kind of an in-between, right, of these colors, which I'm pretty sure I had mentioned in one of these review videos. So I like these other ones a little bit more. So I am going to set aside Resistance. And with Palestinian Poppy, while this is such a gorgeous, glowy, like neon jelly, I mean, I like it a little bit more because it's not, I know on camera it's like really orange, but in real life it does have this like reddish orange color. It's not traffic cone orange. It's a bit more red than that. So I do like it for that. And I love the name. This is one that I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel guilty about all of them, but there's something about this one specifically. So you know what, I'm gonna keep it for now because again, it's a small footprint. Then this middle collection, at least not counting these two, these are the Aphrodite's Kiss collection, which had a couple of magnetics. I think, yeah, just those two. Oh no, how could I forget that one? These two were just kind of some extra shades that Brie had sent over that were like previous mystery gift with purchase shades. So we'll get to those eventually, but from this lineup, like I love the vibes of this collection so much. I know my for sure keeps are Lovey Dovey, the pink magnetic, because it's just what I've been wanting. So tough because, okay, I know I do also want to keep Fire Opal, which I probably shouldn't because it is very similar to like Unicorn #1 from Holo Taco, which I still have in my collection, but the glow is just, it's just insane. Part of me really does also want to keep Dream Opal, probably because of the name, to be honest, but this is that like pink and blue combo that I don't need a lot of in my collection. Like it reminds me of ILNP's Pool Party or Mooncat's Mercury's Tears, and they're nice, right? Like those are nice shades, but I think I can go without it, especially because this is like kind of similar, you know, with that super like almost pearlescent shimmer finish to the most recent blue that came out, and I just like this more like blue on blue as opposed to the pink on blue. So we'll set that aside. I think I do also want to set aside Keep Your Heart, just because it's like a certain shade of blue purple that I don't think I would really wear that often. It's pretty, I can appreciate it on other people, but it's just not my favorite shimmer. The other two magnetics, we have Death of Peace of Mind, which is kind of like that reddish. I think this was another one that was either like a topper or just like a really sheer magnetic, which, you know, I'm just not a big fan of. So I am going to set this aside, but this is great in case you missed my review video. Make sure you go watch it because you could actually see it. You're able to dupe one of the Mooncat Star Wars magnetics by layering this over black. So, you know, it's good for that. And this one is called Heart of the Ocean, which is such a stunning deep blue. See, like this is one of those blues where I'm like, I can keep this one though. It's just so pretty. I love like the little flakies in the background. The color is just beautiful. So I will keep that. And this one, oh, I don't even know if I had magnetized it before, but this is Astral Glass. This one is really cool. I did really enjoy it, but it is also extremely similar to the Flaky mix in Mayflowers, which is their recent Flaky. It's kind of like a topper essentially, but you could build it up. So I feel like I could kind of recreate this with like Cirque's chemistry, you know, Holo Taco's magnetic taco, whatever, with Mayflowers. So I'm gonna set aside Astral Glass. And finally, these last two like kind of pinky shades. Well, I guess the one on the left is not really pink. It's also looking really washed out, but it's called Lavender Haze. It kind of has like a pinky shimmer. It's definitely very icy. I wish this was like a little bit more lavender. And you know, actually, I don't remember if I compared it in my review video, but now that I'm seeing it, I feel like it kind of looks like Cirque's Coquette. I think I did compare these. So yeah, the only like main difference I can immediately see with my naked eye is a little bit more of a reddish pop of shimmer, and then this has a little bit more of a green shimmer. I'm gonna keep Coquette then and set aside Lavender Haze. And so with Enchanted Peony, this one is super cute. I love this kind of like, you know, Crelly with the shimmer formula. I love the shade of pink in here. The color of the shimmer is also really pretty, so I am gonna keep that one. Then from the mystery like gift with purchase kind of shades, I don't think, yeah, none of these are magnetics, they're just kind of shimmer polishes. And we have this one called Ghosted, and this one is Encounter. I really like Ghosted. I love that it's kind of this like black with purple, some pops of teal or whatever. It's just really cool. I could see myself wearing this more than this shade, which I feel like is very blue on camera, but there's a certain like, you know, kind of teal color or teal undertone. So this is really pretty, but I can just set it aside. And lastly, from the Groundbreaking collection, I am pretty sure, yeah, I kind of had already laid them out like where I know which ones I'm keeping, and it's the majority of them. It's this half, because these four are either, you know, not for me or just like dupes or something. I would say the one that's like, you know, the dupe is Seafoam, where it's really close to Mooncat's Tectonic Shift. Such a beautiful color though. I really do like this one. If I didn't have Tectonic Shift, or if I, you know, had decided to destash that one, then I would keep this in its place because it's such a beautiful seafoam green, but I just don't need multiples of those. Then from the purples, I thought they were like okay, you know, I'm just not super crazy about them. If anything, I like this one more, called Dewdrop, compared to Wispy Wisteria, just like this jelly finish. It's kind of similar in a way to this Apocalypse. So it's just, I don't know, this particular finish I'm kind of picky with, I guess. And so with Dewdrop, this one, I feel like I don't, this is another one. I'm like, did I compare this, or am I only realizing it now? Where it's kind of close in color to Cirque's Bitchin'. It just has like a lighter shade of blue. Maybe it's like more green, actually. More of a greenish shimmer. So yeah, I am gonna keep Bitchin'. That's a funny sentence. But the last one, unfortunately, that I am gonna be setting aside is April Showers. This one pains me because it's so pretty in the bottle, and I know so many of you were also disappointed once you saw how it looks on the nail, where it's just unfortunately kind of, I don't want to say gloopy, but like honestly it kind of is. I think there's just too many flakies in here, which is, you know, a crazy thing to say, but oh my god, also I just realized my secondary light over here died, so I'm sorry if that was like a little dark and if the lighting is messed up now, but almost at the end. But yeah, so definitely a shame because it is such a pretty shade, kind of just like
Similar to ILNP's Up Above, but that has yellow and green flakes. This is, more purple and pink, but the base color kind of similar. But I feel like, the flakies are the same. So layering this with a blue, like Morning Tide from Cirque, I think I could just recreate this and have like a better application with the formula. So yeah, we're setting that aside. But the ones that I am keeping, like I mentioned, Mayflowers, because I am obsessed with this flaky. I shared it in my spring favorites video, along with the Smell of Rain. This, oh my God, it's just so, I just want to like pour this on stuff. You know what I mean? It's just such a cool, it's like liquid metal looking, but it's like so sheer. It's still so beautiful. Oh my God, then we have Fallen Rose Petals. Gorgeous. I love the color. Again, a ton of flakies. You can see they're already starting to sink to the bottom, but this is freaking gorgeous. Oh my God, this one I was so close to sharing on my spring favorites wheel. Glitch's Garden of Eden. So beautiful. I love the shade of green, the shimmer in here. It's just so vibrant. Love that. And then the lighter shades, we have Pink Lemonade, which is just kind of a gold shimmer in a pinky base, and Carnations in Bloom, which are these very fiery flakes that are all, again, kind of sunk to the bottom in this white jelly base. And it's just so opalescent. This is also a UV polish, so in sunlight it kind of, transitions to like a fuchsia, like hot pinky purple color. Really cool, but I love how it looks like this. Like if it just stayed in this state, I would be more than happy with that. So yeah, still keeping a lot of glitches, as you can see. And lastly, I have my charity polishes that I picked up, or at least the majority of them. I know I did have a couple of hauls this year, and I was considering like, including them in this video, but I know I'm going to be keeping them, so I just didn't want to like, take them all out and put them away again. Although that might change in the future, so maybe we'll revisit that. But at least for my charity haul, because I knew going into like buying these that I wasn't going to keep all of them. It was just really to highlight them, on my channel in the video, share additional swatches and whatnot. So yeah, from these, I know I'm going to be keeping the majority of them. Yeah, this is another one that I kind of already put like in order of like which ones I'm keeping and which ones I'm not. So the ones I'm not keeping are just these 4. So going through the ones that I am keeping, we have Dom Polishes Pro Choice AF, which is a super gorgeous, very buildable blue crelly base with a glowy pink shimmer. I know I don't usually like this combo of pink shimmers and blue bases, but this one does it for me. The only thing that doesn't do it for me are these like super tiny little, like, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, but there are these super tiny like black specks, or maybe not black, but just like really dark blue. It's kind of like an unmixed pigment sort of issue, but from far away, like you can't see it. Or at least I can't see it because I have bad eyesight, so it's not that big of a deal. So, keeping that one. Also, obviously keeping Cracked Polishes Get the Fuck Out Ice. I love the shade. Super gorgeous between the shimmer color, the base color. It's just perfect. Also very excited to keep this one from Opal Theory, called 2If by Sea, 3If by Ice. It's just like a blue reflective glitter, or I guess a blue base with silver reflective. And I remember when I was doing my video that I was like, oh yeah, like I don't have anything like this. I completely forgot that I had this one very similar blue reflective from Watcha called Undersea Rendezvous, which I think maybe was like a little darker. I don't remember if I ended up comparing it in the video or if I just, showed a photo afterwards or something. Actually, do I still have it? Let me, here it is. So it is a little bit darker than the Opal Theory, it seems to have like a more glowy blue shimmer as well. Well, this kind of has like a soft, like denim, you know, color. Well, technically not dupes, right? But I feel like I don't need both. And even though the Watcha is a little bit smaller, I think this is, yeah, this is an 11 milliliter bottle, and then this one is 15, which is crazy because I feel like it doesn't look like that big of a difference. But yeah, I just kind of want to keep the opal theory. I really, really like that one. I think this is just, I don't know, it's still gorgeous, but just like that shade of dark sapphire blue that I already have in like other finishes that I would reach for more. So, okay, we'll set this one aside in my Destash file, I guess, but maybe I'll set it in a different area because what I have on my desk is just, you know, from these collections and stuff, right? So anyway, the other one I'm keeping is Punkish Polishes Long Nights, which even though this one technically isn't a charity polish, they were having like a sale that went towards charity, so I picked up the shade and I really liked it. I feel like it's kind of a good alternative to one of the Mooncat purple shimmers like Raven or one of the, I forget if it's Dream Within a Dream. I get those two confused. They're both really close to each other and I have neither of them, so I'm like, you know what, let me just get this one. We have Glitches by Any Means Necessary, which is super gorgeous blue on blue shimmer and corally combination. Very pretty. I think there's also reflective glitter in there. And then a green here is from Pixie Polish, and this one is called De-Icer. And even though this is pretty sheer, I think it still looks really, really pretty on the nails. So I really like that one. But as far as the ones that I'm not keeping, so I did already destash two of them. One was Lurid's Fuck Fascism because it was just really similar to like Mooncat's Memento Mori or something. And the other one was Polish's Melt Ice, which, you know, it's a gorgeous finish, very like blingy, but just not one that I knew I would like really wear again. So the other Lurid that I have here is Without Papers, Yearning to Breathe Free. This one is really gorgeous. Like I love the lavender jelly base, you know, the glowy blue shimmer. It's just like that combo that, you know, we've seen before. I feel like I can just set that one aside. The Atomic, another blue shimmer, but obviously a much darker version. I thought the Atomic was just going to be lighter than what it is here. So yeah, I can just set this aside. I also realized it's like close to a Cirque shade that I already have. Then the Finding Feathers micro glitter, it's like a hot pink, super cute. I was hoping this would be a dupe for Holo Taco's Bless Your Heart, just because, you know, you can get this one in its place, but it's not quite the same, but like close enough, I think, maybe for some people. And lastly, I have the Waboos Cosmetics called Fuck Ice, which I do like how it looks in the bottle, but then I'm not super crazy with how it looks on the nail. So, you know, it's just one of those kind of shades. So yeah, from my charity polishes, these are the couple that I will be keeping. So I know you already can see some of the polishes here, but let me show you my destash pile. And here is everything that I am destashing from this first quarter. Definitely a lot of polishes. I feel like this is about half of what I received. I haven't counted them because I just don't have the energy to do it right now, so that's for editing me. But yeah, as you can see, it's just pretty much like the full frame, and there are a lot of polishes from all of the brands pretty much. I don't think it's super surprising that the majority of them are like, you know, the cracked polishes, the glitch lacquers, because those are the ones that have like the most releases so far. And again, there's like a couple that I'm kind of missing, where from Holo Taco, I just don't know where my bottle of Lust in Translation is, but that should be in this pile, you know? So yeah, I feel really good about having separated all of these out, because it's just, so much less space that I'll have to worry about like fitting into my Helmers, you know? So now let me show you everything that I am keeping. Okay, and here is almost everything that I'm keeping because it couldn't all fit. So we have this bottom row too, so kind of a lot, right? Maybe a little bit more than half of all of the polishes altogether. And I guess technically, like I mentioned before, there are some like maybe keeps, you know, specifically like the 3 Holo Taco jellies, these 2 Prism neons, where, you know, maybe even a couple others just because I don't want them to fade, even some from the ILNP collections. There's a few that maybe, you know, won't stay in my collection past this year, but at least for now, these are the ones that I feel pretty good about keeping because not only are they super pretty, but they're also unique to my collection.
So that wraps up my first Destash video of 2026. As always, I would love to know what you think of this video. What do you think of all the collections that have come out this year? Because I was kind of like surprised at how many it was. I believe it was close to 20. I feel like usually the first quarter, or at least the month of January, is always the slowest because, you know, it's after the holidays and whatnot. But this January, there were so many Valentine's Day releases alone. And of course, this is not even like counting in all of the other nail polish collections that have come out from all the other brands that I don't share on my channel. So it is pretty overwhelming to get everything. I know it's like such a first world problem, so I'm sorry to be like complaining about it, but as I've been saying for like years now on my channel, I can't really afford to keep everything. I just don't physically have the space to do so, unfortunately. So destashing is just a continuous part of my personal journey. I'm sure it is for so many of you guys as well, but as a content creator, it just unfortunately is the reality. And thankfully I did already destash like the majority last year when I went through in rainbow order, like I mentioned. I believe at the end of the series, I said that I got rid of like over 300 nail polishes, and it's just a wild number to think about. I mean, even today alone, there were like 65 nail polishes in my destash pile for now, because as I mentioned, there's a few that I'm keeping for now, but I'm probably gonna destash them in like the coming months or something. But speaking of all of the polishes that I took out in this video, I'm not gonna be uploading them anytime soon as far as like the next weekend or so, because first I want to swatch everything. I know that's something that I should have done with everything else that I took out like last year, but as I already said, it was like so much nail polish. I was really overwhelmed with just the amount that I had and where I had it, where, you know, I store everything in my Helmers, but then I was taking out polishes to destash and keeping them under my couch. But then I also had several boxes that were in my closet to destash. And then, you know, doing all of that in rainbow order, it just took literally all of like last year to get rid of everything. And when it comes to swatch sticks, I just personally never even liked the idea of swatching out my own collection. I know that might seem like weird, but I don't know, I just don't like love swatch sticks like that. So if I didn't want to do it for my own collection, there came a point in time where I was like, I don't even want to swatch what I'm destashing, because I was doing it for a while, like early on, when I decided, okay, maybe I should do this with the boutique brands that I'm going to destash, you know, that'll be helpful for comparisons. But once my destash pile kept growing and growing, just the thought of swatching them all was too much, and so I just didn't do it. And I'm really sorry about that, because I know that can be so frustrating, since it's so much easier to see physically like a swatch stick next to my nail and compare the polishes that way versus my nail next to a photo. So to avoid, you know, any of that moving forward, I do want to swatch out everything that I took out in this video and make sure that I have swatch sticks for everything. So at the earliest, I don't think I will upload my next round for my destash until the end of this month, possibly May. And for anybody new here, my destash page is Polished Yogi Destash over on Instagram. It's my one and only page. So So make sure to follow that if you don't want to miss anything. If you missed it from my last video talking about it, I pretty much upload the polishes and you only pay for shipping. There are just a couple of polishes here and there that I might have listed for like $10 or less because I bought those myself. But for everything else that was like PR, you know, you just pay for shipping and that's it. But moving forward, I do want to try something at least for this next round and we can see how it goes. But I want to implement a cap where you can only claim 5 polishes just to make it a bit easier for everybody else to get a chance to claim something. And then also for me when it comes to shipping things, because for my last round of my Destash, which was like a couple of weeks ago, it was a little hectic. I mean, of course, because I am just one person listing one of each polish and there are over 1,000 people that I think follow the account. And so once I start uploading, the comments can get a little hectic. And depending on like, you know, the time I'm uploading, maybe some people don't have the chance, they're not online, they miss it. And somebody else is getting really lucky and claiming like 20 polishes. So just to make things a little fair for everybody else, I want to implement a cap of 5 polishes. We'll see how it goes just for, you know, this next round that I upload. But also I'm thinking of possibly doing some bundles as well, just so it's not like listing individual polishes. Maybe I'll have like a Fauve bundle or, you know, a Sylvanclaw bundle, just things like that to make it a little bit easier, maybe by color. Because as I also sort of mentioned, I think throughout the video, I do have a couple of packages left on the side that are just like these giveaway polishes that, you know, are other indie brands that I didn't have room or I forgot to include them in my Destash pile. My boxes were overflowing and so I set them aside in a different pile and I'm like, you know, this can be for a giveaway. So yeah, basically it's just like a little hectic. Again, I'm like one person doing all of this. I mean, thankfully Ryan does help me with a little bit, but it can just be overwhelming. So I appreciate everyone's patience as I try to like, you know, figure this out. I'm just trying to do my best and try to like get things out as soon as possible, because not only does it give me some peace of mind with just like clearing out, you know, all this extra polish that is taking up room in my collection, I also want to get these polishes out to all of you who are supporting me. So yeah, that's kind of where things are for now. And, you know, moving forward, again, make sure to follow my Destash Instagram page for any kind of like updates or anything. But yeah, I would love to know what you think of some of the polishes that I took out to Destash, because as I mentioned, there are some that like are painful because I really do like them, but I just know realistically, I'm probably not going to wear them, not again, but just wear them enough to the point that it's worth keeping them in my collection, you know? So it's hard, but yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.